Street Talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati on this fine Monday morning in October. Nice to have you. Hey, Seahawks had a bye week, so no game yesterday, which was good because I had to work all day. I was doing adoption work, so didn't miss anything. But next week, I don't even know. They're playing somebody next week. Who are they playing? Shelley, do you know who they're playing? Shelley has no idea. My guest has no idea who they're playing. But hey, I got a good guest for you today, but just a couple things coming up that I wanted to discuss. I used to be a police officer, and one day when I was in detectives, we used to have grade school kids come in for tours, so I was showing them around the police station and everything, and I brought them into the detective's office where we had some wanted posters up, and one kid points to this really ugly-looking mug of this guy, who was wanted for something. He says, "So is that a bad guy?" I said, "Yeah, that's a really bad guy, and we really want to catch him." And the kid looked at me and said, "Well, why'd you let him go after you took the picture?" And then I was in a local establishment the other night, and I was sitting down, just having a drink, and some guy rushes in and goes up to the bartender and says, quick, give me 6 shots of bourbon, quick. So the bartender goes, okay, and he pours them out. And as soon as the guy pours the shot, the bartender pours the shot, the guy is down on him. He's just drinking them one after another. The bartender says, "Why are you drinking so fast?" And the guy said, "Oh, man, if you had what I had, you'd be drinking fast, too." And the bartender says, "Well, what do you have?" He says, "Well, only 12 cents. Come on, that's, okay, sorry. Well, back when I was a rookie cop, I was once assigned to work traffic in a certain area because people were complaining about speeders. And my sergeant said to me, "Look, just give warnings because it's mostly local people, but only write a ticket if you got somebody going really fast. And if you get that, then you can quit and go back to doing something more interesting." So I'm there, and I'm getting all bored, and finally some guy comes barreling down doing 60 miles an hour in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and I stop him, I pull him over, and said, "Oh, man, I've been waiting for you all day." And he says to me, "Oh, well, I got here as soon as I could." Okay, so, all right, I got a real good guest for you today. We're going to be talking about issues involving another side of the opioid crisis. But hey, Street Talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, you stick around. We'll be right back.
NCW Life Channel is proud to present the Spotlight on Business. We're going behind the scenes to bring you the story of local businesses throughout North Central Washington. How did they get started, and why are they so successful? We'll answer these and other questions each week with Spotlight on Business, Sundays through Fridays on the NCW Life Channel.
Lakeshland Mailboxes is a small place with a lot to offer. Job one is shipping and receiving from A to Z. They pack it, they label it, they ship it. But did you know we also offer notary service, online computer access, legal forms, copies, greeting cards, and of course, mailboxes. Lakeshland Mailboxes is everything you need in one small package.
Eastern Washington. It's a great place to call home and a great time to own a home. It's the ideal place to lay down roots for your family and your future. Gisa Credit Union thinks Eastern Washington is a great place to own a home too. That's why we offer all kinds of home loans with personal attention every step of the way. We're your home. For home loans, we're Gisa Credit Union.
What's your Automocha emergency?
It's a Frappuccino mocha with whip.
The espresso shakes are my most favorite because I can get any flavor. Peanut butter chocolate for pita.
Definitely the espresso shakes.
My favorite is the mocha for pitas.
A peach Red Bull.
Okay, we're back, and I want to introduce my kind of sister, Shelley English. It's my good friend. You have to shake hands with
Do
me.
I have to do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, you have to give me a hug. There we go. There.
People know we really love each
We
other.
do. We really do. We really do. And you can see under her name that she's an instigator because she is. Okay. But, a few weeks ago, I had somebody from the Chelan County Sheriff's Office here to talk about the opioid crisis. Now, this issue of drugs in our society, I mean, it's a really double-edged sword. I mean, we have drugs to help people that they're very beneficial, and some people's lives would just be miserable, actually non-existent if we didn't have them. But then the other side is the issues of addiction and, how the abuse of drugs can be, a deteriorating issue on our society. But then what about those people who are caught in the middle? Okay, yeah, we have an opioid crisis. We've got lots of people who are using them illegally, but we have numerous people for whom proper pain management is a major issue in their lives. And that's why I asked Shelley to come on today, because there's another side to the story about this issue with opioid use in this country. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, that kind of thing. Let the people get to know you, because you should know this gal, okay? You should know her.
I'm somebody you should know.
You are,
I am.
indeed.
You asked me to talk a little bit about my medical history.
Yeah.
It's quite extensive, so I'm just going to kind of break it down. I first started having back problems. I remember the worst time when I was about 21 or 22. People talk about your back goes out and you can't move and you can't bend over. And so that happened to me when I was about 21, 22 for the first time. I did go to the doctor, got an x-ray, and at that time, even at that young age, I was already showing degenerative signs in my spine and also arthritis.
Okay, so this wasn't something that was due to an accident or an injury or
No.
something. This was, what do they call it, a genetic thing? Or-
Part of it is,
Okay.
they have said that I have genetically small, they're called foraminal openings, and they're the openings on the sides of the spinal column where the
Okay.
nerve roots go through.
Yeah, right.
My mom had 5 back surgeries. If I recall, my sisters also had back problems. So those openings in there are narrow for us. And so at that time, I didn't have health insurance, so I didn't do physical therapy or anything.
Sure.
I just kind of waited it out.
So you had issues back since you were 21
Oh,
years
yeah,
old? Okay.
yeah, it's
and what
been-
are you 30 now?
Yeah, something like that,
Okay.
right around there. So, I didn't really have a lot of problems. I had jobs where I was a server, and so I was on my feet a lot. I would get the sore back thing, but
Right.
it wasn't until my early 30s that it really, really started bothering me again. And at that point, I had an MRI. And kind of fast forward, I ended up in surgery about 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
Having the first discectomy, where they just go in and trim the disc to get it off the nerve root. About a year and a half later.
Okay, so that was the problem. Your discs were actually intruding into the
foraminal
personal space of
openings.
the-
Right, yes.
The
As
what openings?
The foraminal openings.
Okay, now I know as much as I did before.
You're welcome.
I think let's stick with intruding on the personal space.
In the personal space of my
Of the
of my
nerves.
nerves.
Okay,
Yes,
all
that's right. So a year and a half later, I actually had one disc kind of blow out. And this isn't from, as you can see, I'm not a terribly physically active person. And that time I had bent over in my bedroom to pick up a sock off my floor. And that's what caused this one. Part of the disc actually broke off. Ended up in surgery about 4 days later. And then add to that 2 cervical spine surgeries for the same thing. And my spine is kind of a mess.
Okay, now, you mentioned not being all that physically active and that kind of stuff. Now, had you been physically active, had you been somebody who worked out or ran or did that, would that necessarily have changed anything?
It may have.
Really?
Core strength is really important
Okay.
when you're talking about back issues. But as far as just the genetic parts of my spine, the early arthritis
That
and the
wouldn't
early
affect
degenerative
anything,
disease.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but I did start working out. Remember that? We both were. We looked very svelte. The camera adds 50 pounds, folks. Don't forget that.
Almost as good looking as I am now. Okay.
That's right. So, I'm going to back up a little bit. During the time that I was having problems with my cervical spine, I tried all kinds of different things: physical therapy, home traction. different kinds of pain medications that are actually anti-seizure medications that had been off-labeled use for nerve pain.
Yeah. What were they supposed to help relax you, that type of thing?
No, they're anti-seizure medications,
Yeah.
so they dull the nerves.
Oh,
Because
okay. I
because
see.
this is
Okay.
nerve pain.
Okay.
Tramadol was a big one, and they still hand that out quite a bit. But tramadol is now becoming so abused that the DEA has moved that up to a Schedule II drug
Oh,
along
really?
with opioids.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, because that's what my doctor gave me before I had my hip surgery.
Right.
So, okay.
Right. So now you have the same rules that apply to opioid drugs apply to tramadol.
Oh.
Another big one that they like to hand out is gabapentin, or Neurontin is the
Okay.
name of it.
Yeah, I've heard of those. So.
I called it Morontin
Yeah.
because that's how I felt when I took it. And you have to take it over time, and it's supposed to build up in your system. I was tired all the time. I couldn't concentrate at work. It just makes you it's such a downer
Sure.
that I couldn't function on it. So back to where we started, I started working out. I was doing really well. I had lost a bunch of weight. And then I noticed this kind of new pain in my back. It wasn't the nerve pain down the leg thing that I was getting before.
Sure.
It was just like kind of an ache, sharp ache all the way across my lower back. And it would occur when I was walking on the treadmill or when I was just standing for long periods of time, not even doing anything major. And it got to be so bad that I went back to the doctor to try to see what was going on. I was really scared. I was like, what's happening now?
Right.
But it was completely different. So I didn't have a primary doctor at the time, and I thought maybe if I get another primary, I can get into my orthopedic surgeon sooner because they're usually really backed up.
Right.
So I went to this one doctor. He didn't look at my chart at all. He didn't look at anything about my history. So I kind of gave him background and told him that I just needed to get in with my orthopedic surgeon and possibly some pain help until
Right,
then, some
right.
pain medication until then. He focused on my obesity. He had me bend over so he could look at my spine, and he touched the scars on my back and said, "Oh yeah, I see the scars now." Like he didn't believe me
Yeah.
when I told him my history. And I walked out of there pretty much in tears at him basically ignoring my pain. Had a prescription for 10 Vicodins, and that was it.
Right.
I eventually did get in to see my orthopedic surgeon and had another MRI.
Okay.
And it showed this whole new thing that's going on
Yeah,
with my
yeah.
spine.
What did it show? Could it break it down a little bit?
Yeah, no changes in the discs, but one of my vertebrae has now slipped out of place because of the compromised discs, and I can't say it. It's called spondylolisthesis.
Okay.
So if you're looking down my spine, normally it's like a nice little curve right here.
Sure.
Well, I've got one that sticks out like that. And that's causing the problems. It's mechanical back pain is the way my doctor described it. So it isn't, it's not nerve pain, it's mechanical back pain, meaning it happens when I move in certain ways.
Okay.
The only thing that would fix that is a 3-level fusion where they go in through your abdomen. So it's abdominal surgery as well because they don't, if they cut through the back, they're cutting too close to the spinal cord.
Sure.
So they go in through the front. They take either cadaver bone or artificial discs, put those in the middle, screw me together with a titanium cage. The recovery for that is 6 weeks flat on your back. I have paid time off at work, but not 6 weeks.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No driving, and my orthopedic surgeon told me that the results of that and the possible side effects, completely losing flexibility in my lower back, possible paralysis. He's the one that told me the results of this could be worse than what you're going through now.
Okay, yeah,
So he's the one that suggested pain management.
Okay. All right. So what was the pain management? Let's get into that.
Okay, so I have a prescription for 5 milligram Vicodin, which is pretty much the aspirin of narcotic pain medications.
Sure.
It's an incredibly low dose. I can get 60 every 30 days. My prescription usually lasts me a lot longer than that. But for me, the pain isn't constant. It's when a trip to the grocery store. you know, there's been times when I just had to leave my basket there and go sit down because I couldn't
Really?
make it anymore. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Some days I'm fine. Some days I can't take my garbage out to the dumpster.
Yeah.
You know, without feeling the pain. So what the medication does is if I know I'm going to be somewhere where I'm going to need to be on my feet, or if I have housework to do, I can take them, you know, a little bit before, and it doesn't completely wipe out the pain, but it takes the edge off a little bit so I can get things done.
All right.
And yeah, anybody who's ever taken a walk with me or been anywhere where I'm on my feet, they understand the term back break.
Yeah,
That means I need to sit down for a few minutes and just let it rest, and then if I get up, I'm okay.
Okay, well, look, we need to take a break, okay? But when we come back, we want to talk about your issue with opioids and how this whole crisis thing and these issues with pain management in this country are beginning to affect you, who are a legitimate user of this pain medication.
Yes.
Medication. So, okay, so street talk and other stuff. We're talking with Shelley English, good friend of mine, and we're talking about issues with legal prescriptions to narcotics and other drugs, which are causing problems in other areas of society, which are putting people like my friend Shelley in a difficult position, and we're going to talk about that more when we get back. So, street talk and other stuff. Mike Mad Dog Magnati, stick around. We will be right back.
Turn back the clocks and grab the ice melt. Winter weather is here. This is Corey at Rose Tractor. If you're looking for a reliable way to clear snow, look no further than Cub Cadet. For sidewalks and driveways, a Cub Cadet snow thrower will get the job done in a jiffy. For larger jobs, a Cub Cadet Challenger utility vehicle with a snow blade will handle about anything. You can depend on Cub Cadet for years of reliable performance, and we'll help you select the best model for your job at Rose Tractor, family-run business at the corner of 3rd and Rock Island Road in East Wenatchee.
Stormy Mountain Brewing and local public house, featuring great family dining in downtown Chelan. We've got burgers, pub fare, and the best barbecue around. Try one of our award-winning sauces made fresh here in-house. So grab the whole gang and come on down. Stormy Mountain Brewing. Beer, barbecue, friends, and beer.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
Hello, Wenatchee Valley. Christian Shaman here with Bay Equity Home Loans.
Let us make your dream of home ownership a reality. We're here to guide you through the loan process every step of the way. Check out our convenient online application. Bay Equity Home Loans in Wenatchee, your home for loans.
Stop on by or give us a call today.
Okay, street talk and other stuff. We're back talking with my good friend Shelley English, who is somebody who has been legally prescribed medication for pain management. But we're talking about how these whole issues with the opioid crisis are going to be affecting her. So let's get into that a little bit, okay? Go ahead.
So one of the things that I wanted to share, and it's a problem, is the people who are in actual real pain are often treated as drug seeking when they go to their doctors or to the walk-in clinic or to the emergency room. And I completely understand that this really does happen.
Sure.
I'm not discounting it at all. Yeah. During the time when I was having problems with my cervical spine, when it first popped up, I did some physical therapy, I did some home traction, and it seemed to get better. We were just talking about how Mike had one of the same problems, and it kind of got better on its own.
Yeah, I had a bulging disc, and it did get better, thank God. You know, I mean,
and so one day, I get up off the couch, and I felt the pain go screaming down my arm again. And so I called my orthopedic surgeon, and he could get me in a week, thank goodness. But the pain was excruciating. And he suggested that I go to the walk-in. So this is the time when the clinic and the hospital were still separate, and when actually orthopedics was part of the hospital. So I went in there at about 5:30. It was a weeknight, and the person who checked me in sitting at the desk had an RN badge on. And I'm in tears. It was so bad, I was crying. And she and I was explaining to her what's happening. You know, I said I have a history of this. It's just it was getting better, and it was horrible.
Right.
And she's kind of giving me the side eye the whole time, looking at me, and she just looks at me and she says, "Well, I don't think we're going to be able to prescribe you any narcotic pain medications tonight, but we'll go ahead and let you see the doctor." So I got in there pretty quickly. It was only about 10 minutes. And thankfully, the doctor who I saw did look at my history.
Right.
And he had also had the exact same surgery just a couple years earlier. He had the same thing. So I walked out of there with a painkiller, a muscle relaxer, and a course of prednisone.
Okay. But that's in part because he was able to see your medical history,
Right.
which, all
Yeah. So, but to just look at everyone through the same lens.
Yeah.
And I understand they really need to be cautious, but I don't think they need to be looking at everyone through the same lens.
Well, and I agree with you. And, you know, it does get tough, but you're right. I mean, we in the professions that, you know, being a cop, you deal with people who have problems. You forget that, this is something routine for you, but it's not necessarily routine for the person that you're dealing with.
Right.
And you need to have a little bit more compassion. So.
Right. And I know now, there was probably a day when it was a little easier to kind of look at somebody and see that they might be drug seeking.
Yeah.
But the biggest demographic of heroin users in this country, the most increasing, is white women.
Yeah.
Between 18 and 35.
And what is the reason behind that?
Probably a lot to do with the opioid prescriptions.
Because inability
the pill
to
mills,
get... Okay.
Right, the pill mills. Also, was it maybe 20, 25 years ago, a snortable form of heroin hit the market.
Right.
And so a lot of people who would have put a needle in their arms were willing to try it.
Yeah.
Also, I believe a lot with like methamphetamine. Meth has been around forever.
Yeah.
But if you look at like the mid-90s, all of a sudden people were acting like, oh, it's this new thing.
Well, you used to call it crank.
Yeah, and it had been around forever. Well, the big difference was white suburban women were using it. The cheerleader was using it.
Yeah.
The college student at Yale was using it to stay up and study. And so, in my opinion, I think the whole heroin and opiate thing has a lot to do with that, because we all pictured a heroin addict as, you know, somebody in an alley in the big city, you know, not the lady up the street.
Yeah, bringing up in my generation, that's what we were taught. You know, That's what we saw. I mean, heroin addicts were people who maybe had 5 years to live, and you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, they were the people
and they
who
were
lived in an
skinny and
alley.
homeless, and it wasn't your neighbor. It wasn't, you know. And I know a family that's been personally affected by this. I don't discount it at all, but I truly believe that just like with meth, nobody paid attention until it was white working class and white middle class people, until it started invading those neighborhoods.
So are you being, or are people in your position being, you know, negatively affected by, because there's this crisis with, you know, drug abuse and that type of thing? Are doctors becoming less willing to prescribe for you? Are they suggesting other treatment? I mean, is this really affecting how we deal with pain management?
It is. And I don't think it's a combination of the doctors being worried about prescribing and also the laws. The laws are changing.
Sure.
My doctor has a database that's it's only statewide though. So when I call in for a refill, she can look on this database and even see if I've been to the dentist and got a prescription for something.
Right.
The clinic has rules now. You have to sign a pain contract, which I've done. The pain contract, they can require you to come in and actually have an office visit to get a refill.
Right.
I haven't been under those requirements just because I don't show any signs of addiction. I don't ask for early refills. I don't lose my prescription and try to get more, so I don't have any of those behaviors. But the rules do limit the doctors on what they can actually do.
Okay, now it's my understanding that other countries have a little bit more of a different attitude about, you know, pain management.
Yeah.
So
when I was looking things up, it was super interesting. First of all, in Western Europe, pharma companies cannot advertise directly to patients. It's illegal. They can't.
Yeah.
Also, they have, with their national healthcare system, their doctors are salaried. It's not a fee-for-service. They don't make money based on the number of patients they see.
Right.
Here, at Confluence Health, I don't know if this has changed, but a friend of mine that's a nurse once told me that the doctors are supposed to have 6 minutes with their patient.
Yeah, that
on an office visit.
That is something I kind of suspect is going on.
Yeah, and so so just the care is different here. Western Europe has much tighter opioid prescribing regulations than we do. However, with their national healthcare system, people have more access to healthcare, and they can nip things in the bud before they become chronic or before they get really bad to where people might need this. Japan was super interesting too when I looked that up. They have really loose prescribing rules.
Who was this again?
Japan.
Japan, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
They have 1/12 of the consumption of narcotics that the United States does. They have universal health insurance and very few restrictions. They have a really old population in general, and cancer is the leading cause of death, so there's a lot of cancer pain, but the patients are afraid of it.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, because especially morphine for pain relief.
Yeah. They're afraid of the medication?
Yeah, they're afraid of the medication because they see, you know, their grandpa got a shot of morphine when he was on, you know, hospice care or something, and then he passed away.
Right.
And also just their culture that if you complain of pain, you're
weak.
Yeah, you're weak.
Yeah.
It makes you weak.
It's kind of a badge of honor.
Here, on the other side, in one article I read, put it was, in the United States, we must have a perfect life.
Yeah.
And so even the slightest ache or pain as we get older is not acceptable. And so the doctors are prescribing for that.
Okay, I don't prescribe to that theory, okay? I have aches and pains all the time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, but look, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But we got to take a break.
Jump in.
And we're going to come back. But Shelley, I really appreciate you being here. I think it was kind of brave of you to be here.
Yes.
I know there's always two sides or more to a story, so I wanted to be able to cover you know, your side of things. So, hey, Street Talk.
Thanks for having me.
Mike Mad Dog Magnati, I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you another commercial about Little Shop of Horrors, but you stick around. We'll be right back. So.
Only one country could build a truck like this. Designed in California, engineered in Michigan, tested in Arizona, and assembled in Mississippi. Powered by Cummins of Indiana. The all-new Nissan Titan. It's an American classic. Is it on your list? Come down and see us at Town Nissan behind Costco in East Wenatchee.
I'm Jenny Rojanasatian, and this is Guada TV. Every week we will be bringing you a first look at North Central Washington business, tech, and education news. You'll hear from local influencers and innovators who live right here in the Valley. Together, we'll discuss hot topics, current events, and resources that can support your business, our schools, and this community. Join me every week, and let's get inspired.
I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCW Life channel.
I'm Eric Grandstrom with NCW Life Sports.
I'm NCW Life News Director Steve Hare.
Catch us on Local Tel Channel 12.
Watch us on Charter Channel 19 or stream us live on ncwlife.com.
Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.
Where we cover the local high schools, the Wenatchee Wild, and the pro teams out of Seattle.
On Saturday, we have a 90% chance of rain.
Catch it all right here on the NCW Life channel.
Are you raising a grandchild or another relative's child? If so, kinship programs may be available for your family. Kinship Care is the full-time care of children by relatives. Kinship Care maintains family, cultural, and community ties. It's the oldest form of family preservation and an important safety net for children whose parents are either unable or unwilling to care for them. To learn more about Kinship Care or to find a support group near you, please contact Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington.
Okay, we're back. Street Talk and other stuff. Shelley did tell me off camera she wanted to add one last thing, so go ahead.
Okay, so looking at statistics, when we hear 45,000 people in 2016 died of opioid overdoses, if you break that down, 46% were synthetic opioids like fentanyl and methadone.
Right.
37% were heroin. 17% were prescription opioids and often were in combination with alcohol or other drugs. And of that 17%, about half of them, or about 3,800 of those deaths, those people had a known legal prescription.
All right, so the people who are legally prescribed are not the people who are abusing it.
Right.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, appreciate you adding
Thank
that.
you.
Okay, well, hey, look, remember, Little Shop of Horrors. We got 2 more weekends, okay? I'm in it. We did a show on it last week. You can go to Wenatchee Pack for tickets. Gives you all the information. And if you forget, you can always contact me, Mike, at maddog@nwi.net. It's a good show. We've been rocking it. People have been laughing. It's just funny. The show's going to sell out, okay? So get your tickets as soon as you can. So, hey, Street Talk and other stuff. Shelley, one more time, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you next week. You have a great day. Bye-bye.